and your tight ends blocking down there in the trenches. So, it was great to see all the running backs getting a good amount of carries and keeping those chains moving forward.
What was their explanation for bringing in Teddy in the first place? Did they tell you why they were doing that? I know you can only control what you can control, but were you puzzled by that move?
I never got a direct answer to answer your question, but they've told me, or I've heard through the grapevine, he brings a lot of experience, and I've met him and been around him for about, I guess, a week now, and he's great, and he's a great person to be in the room. He has great ideas, it's always a good thing when you can bring in experience into a quarterback room, and it really can bring in some extra knowledge, and it's never a bad thing.
I know you try to execute.
We will see what shakes out as NFL preseason continues. Well, thanks for joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer. We are here weekdays at 2 o'clock live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We are standing by waiting to hear from the mayor of D.C., Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, expected to speak today after President Trump's announcement. That's expected around 3 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your day. And as we wrap up here, give you a view of Washington, D.C. Have a great afternoon.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good afternoon to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We are tracking a developing story this afternoon. I want to show you this video near the disappearing island in Volusia County, a small plane down there in Ponce Inlet. According to the Coast Guard, one person was inside. You see that plane upside down in what officials called waist-deep water. The pilot was uninjured, according to FWC. The Coast Guard tells us they were able to get themselves out of the plane. The report was that the pilot had some sort of engine trouble, had reported some sort of engine trouble before going down. You see there's a closer look at the plane in the water there. This is still an active investigation. We are trying to learn some more details this afternoon, and certainly a situation that we are monitoring. So keep it here on Fox Local, and we'll have updates as well coming up in a little bit on Fox 35 News at 5. It is 4:01, and that means it's time for today's Top 4 at 4, where we break down 4 of the big stories that we're tracking in the Fox 35 newsroom this afternoon. And joining me for today's Top 4 at 4 is Fox 35 News anchor John Brown.
And good afternoon. This first story here getting a lot of attention in a lot of cities across the country. Start with this one. President Donald Trump says that he is now placing the Washington, D.C. Police Department under federal control and is also deploying the National Guard to make the nation's capital safer. Trump has promised new steps to tackle the crime there in D.C., prompting the city's mayor to voice concerns about the potential use of the National Guard to patrol the streets. Now, the union representing the police officers in D.C. is backing this Trump takeover, though it called for the federal investigation to just be temporary. The union chairman, Greg Pemberton, said that he agrees with the president that immediate action is necessary to tamp down on crime. Okay, on the flip side, other leaders all across the country, city leaders, police enforcement leaders, have expressed concerns about this move, saying that it's a slippery slope to have the National Guard come in and enforce crime and enforce the crackdown on crime in cities in this manner. I actually heard on a lot of radio stations around the country, Garrett, that a lot of cities, it was a big debate. I know talk radio stations in about 4 or 5 different cities that I heard from friends today. This was their discussion. Should the National Guard come into our city? And so I think a lot of cities are now saying, boy, could this happen here? And from the people that I know who do talk radio, overwhelming support for this in cities like St. Louis, Chicago, out in San Francisco. People saying, hey, if our police officers can't take care of it because the city is hamstringing them, then maybe it's going to take something like this. Because a lot of people in these cities are tired of it. They can't go to, I take for my example, my hometown. You can't go to a Cardinal game. You can't go do anything downtown without crime there. And so I think there's a lot of support for this in some cities.
I do think we should notice that D.C. itself is a bit of a unique situation.
It is, certainly
because it's not a city, it's not a state.
Right.
It already is under a lot of federal control, and so the president does have a little more kind of authority there and latitude to kind of pull some of these initial levers than he necessarily would in some of these other cities. But he did say today, kind of put a couple other cities on notice, specifically New York City, specifically Chicago, and also mentioned L.A., where we know he has sent National Guard before. So it's going to be interesting to see what happened. The president obviously was very outspoken about the situation there that kind of led to this, was talking about some of the numbers. We saw protesters outside with those signs saying "Free DC," and then the mayor of DC held a news conference just a little bit ago, about an hour ago, and she said that this is another reason that she believes DC should become a state.
Yeah, I mean, it possibly could happen, but I find it interesting how many police agencies are saying they welcome this, because we've heard time and time again, they arrest the guys, nothing happens, and they arrest the same guys again, time and time again. They know them by name in a lot of these cities, so this might be a different case here. So we'll see where it goes. Right now, DC, but a lot of other cities might see this as well. All right, our meteorologist is watching this one very closely. Tropical Storm Erin formed today in the eastern Atlantic. It's forecast to strengthen into the season's first hurricane. You can see it way out there in the Atlantic. Potentially the first hurricane, maybe a major hurricane later on this week, according to forecasters. No coastal watches or warnings are in effect. Tropical storm force winds could extend up to 35 miles from the center, and it's going to strengthen. So we're just talking with Noah. I know he's going to be on here in just a little bit, but it's way out in the Atlantic right now. A lot of the models show it being pushed north, but this is typical. This time of year, it comes off the coast of Africa, and the first ones a lot of times are being steered north. Like Noah will talk more about this, but even on Fox Weather, they're saying this one doesn't look like it's going to come towards us. Only a few models have it coming this way. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All it takes is one model that's right, and we're right in it. So
exactly. Certainly hope it gets pushed out to sea and not something we have to deal with, but certainly something we are watching. And like you said, we'll talk with Noah about that in just a little bit.
Maybe not the best time to take a cruise. Just saying.
Yeah, probably not.
This time of year. Okay, a teenager riding an e-bike to school was actually airlifted to a hospital here in Orlando on earlier today after being struck by a car in Deltona. Deputies responded to Howland Boulevard near Roble Lane at around 9 o'clock this morning. Investigators say the car was turning out when it hit the teen. 3 bystanders who witnessed the crash helped lift the car off the teen before first responders arrived. The captain, Todd Smith, there said the teen was conscious and stable when he was flown to the hospital and is expected to be okay. Of course, they're now investigating this crash. But this comes on the heels of a lot of cities saying it might be time to crack down on this. But as somebody in my neighborhood pointed out this morning, these kind of things happen with bicycles, with kids walking, with kids on scooters. So just so happens this kid was on an e-bike, and they're in the news every day right now.
Well, and according to, I know we had Fox 35's Marie Ettinger on our show at 11 o'clock, kind of tracking that breaking news there. And she was talking about a number of neighbors that she had spoken with in that area who said that intersection, they have trouble with, quite a bit with drivers coming up to that intersection, not necessarily looking because there are a lot of bikes that go through there. And she said, they look the one direction, to make sure it's clear before they pull out, but not looking the other way. And I will say that's something I know you are very active as well, that I see a lot and experience a lot firsthand running, coming up to a crosswalk, someone at a stop sign or a stoplight getting ready to turn right, they'll look left to make sure a car's not coming, will never ever look to the right.
And I think we all do it too. You're just used to it. I mean, sadly, it's human nature. And if you're on your cell phone, that's a big issue. But there are a couple of intersections in this area where I run, and the city has to trim those back. Because sometimes there's one neighborhood in particular, you pull up, you can't see, you're slowly getting out there, so you're just trying to make sure nothing's coming that way because you can't see anything. It's hard to look right because you're just trying to make sure you don't get broadsided right there. So it is. I think the responsibility lies on a lot of different parties here.
Scary situation a lot of times nowadays, and then you throw in that other factor of some drivers not paying attention, maybe whether it's looking at their phone or not, just all the distractions, and so it's a scary situation out there. And today being the first day of school, just a lot more people out and about than we have seen over the past few weeks.
I was in a golf cart, believe it or not, this morning, and pulled up to one of the roads. We had to cross a road there. Woman never saw anything, never even looked up, drove all the way past me, and I'm just sitting there. I'm doing goofy. I'm like, never even saw me. So the point never even got across. So anyway, all right. How about some football here?
College football season. Let's go.
The AP Preseason Top 25 college football poll is out. There you have it. Texas #1, Penn State. Yeah, wait till you talk to Noah. Oi. #2, Amy Caulfield, Ohio State. #3, I don't know anybody from Clemson. A lot of folks from Georgia and Notre Dame. But let's get to the Florida schools here. Gators coming in at #15. University of Miami, by the way, they're up there as well. They are at #10. There they are. By the way, Gators kick off the season against, I think it's Long Island University, powerhouse. That one's on August the 30th. That's a Saturday, okay? The Fighting LIU
we will find it. We will find it. Give me a second.
It does. I looked up. They got beat by you know how now the Google lists all the scores. They did okay last year. It looked like, but the year before it was not pretty. There's probably somebody from LIU listening right now. It's gonna be mad.
We just lost a viewer. Thanks to
dang it! Sorry, LIU.
Criticism.
Well, they know they're not a powerhouse football school, but they get a big paycheck, so they should be happy. I don't know what the paycheck is for this one. Now, the problem is when these schools, who was it that paid? Do you remember that, Johnny, last year? Somebody paid like $1 million to one of these schools. Was it Michigan? Not Michigan. One of the schools, and they came in and beat them. Got the $1 million and came in and beat them. Now, that's insult to injury there. What'd you find the LIU there?
LIU Sharks.
Okay.
The LIU Sharks.
There you have it. All right. Yeah. They should play New Smyrna Beach, maybe. Miami, by the way, here's the game that I think is interesting. Miami, first game on the 31st, which is a Sunday later on this month. They're up against #6 Notre Dame. Yeah. And then they take on Bethune-Cookman. So Notre Dame is a warm-up for BCU this year, I guess. But, man, you talk about a way to start the season. The 31st, Notre Dame down in South Florida against Miami. That's when you know very quickly who's legit and who's not. Starting that kind of season. So.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you'll have Texas and Ohio State opening the season against each other coming up on August 30th.
So good. I mean, that's where you started here.
I love it when you have some of those opening season, blockbuster matchups because so many of them are against, again, no offense, LIU, but against the LIUs of the world.
And there's not much interest. Yeah.
Right. It's nice to have some good games to open up the season.
Look at this on the bottom there. Others receiving votes. Louisiana Lafayette at the very bottom. What happened to them this year?
And Florida State also receiving votes.
Yep, I see that. Mizzou Tigers, there we go. Luann, yeah, there you go. She'll be happy with Duke up there. But yeah, Louisiana Lafayette, they must have a superstar somewhere along the way. We'll have to look into that one. So there you have it. There's your top 25.
All right, and that is our top 4 at 4. So, John, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
right? Because I don't
Yes.
see you at all.
Yep. No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Berggren joins me live now from Studio A. And Noah, I know a lot of talk today about Tropical Storm Erin forming.
Yeah, that's right, Garrett. It's the first real threat of the year in the tropics, but it's way out there, man. And it's hopefully going to be no threat to us here in Florida. But much to discuss with that and also what's been going on here at home. So let me get you started first with what's happening outside your window, which the camera zoomed in Daytona. It's not really that windy. It looks a lot windier because the camera zoomed in, but it's a really great beach day. It's a hot and humid day. Look, it's typical stuff for middle August. It's in the low 90s, heated X in the low 100s. See from Titusville and Orlando over Lake Eola as well out there on this Monday. High today so far, 90 in Melbourne, 92 in Tampa and Orlando, 92 in Ocala, 92 in Fort Myers, 91 in West Palm, 90 currently in Miami. Here's the live heat index: 101 in Sarasota, 104 in Tampa, 104 in Sebastian, 103 in Fort Pierce, 104 in the Villages, 104 in New Smyrna, 99 in Cocoa Beach. So a couple of storms this evening. There's not going to be a lot. A week ago tonight, we had a tornado in Osceola County. Last week, the storms are a little bit more robust. They're a little bit tamer overall this week. Temperature right now, 93 in Ocala, 93 Sanford, 89 Daytona, 90 currently in St. Cloud. All right, the humidity's up there, especially inland. Dew points are in the mid to high 70s. That is tropical feeling air. This is as humid as it will get here this time of the year. And you can see to our north, the heat index into the high 90s from Memphis to Columbus to Lexington to Dallas, over towards New Orleans and Houston, all near 100. So temperatures overnight, upper 70s, a handful of thunder showers through the evening, not a lot. Tomorrow, similar temperatures, low 90s inland areas. Now in the tropics, there are a couple areas of new development to watch, but they're small. 10% chances in this zone here and this zone here over the next 7 days. Neither a concern for the United States. Here's the latest on Erin as the 11 a.m. advisory from the folks at the Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. A 45-mile-an-hour tropical storm right here. It is moving very fast to the west. The forward speed west at 20 miles an hour. Still the pressure over 1,000 millibars. Now here's what I'm just going to call the super spaghetti plot. This is the GFS and the European ensemble members blended together in one plot. So what you're looking at is the GFS and the Euro. And what we do with both of those models, you probably have heard of spaghetti plots before. What we do with the GFS and Euro is that we take the actual main models that run 4 times a day, and we tweak them. In the case of the Euro, it's 100 times. In the case of the GFS, it's about 30. We tweak them and run them, in this case, 130 different times to account for error, to get different ideas and scenarios for a tropical system. And here that is all blended together in one map. And notice this is going to go west, north of San Juan by early next week. Then from there, the idea is it should turn to the northeast. Now, it's 7+ days away, and generally beyond 7 days, which is about right here, the models get very less accurate, much less accurate. Now, the odds favorite right now, to just speak freely, the odds favorite would be for this to miss Florida or the east coast of the U.S., potentially be a big impact to Bermuda. If you have a cruise next week, really huge surf, this probably be a major hurricane. Once in this area, this would be early to mid next week. Now notice there are several ensemble members, not a lot, but you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you can't see them beneath the word Nassau here. There's actually a couple that come in to make a landfall into eastern Florida, but a couple out of 130 is low odds, which is why I'm not concerned for it now. However, you don't have to go far back, tropically speaking, to see an example why you should not, and we're not at this television station, or nobody on this storm team is going to do this, to never write off a hurricane's path prematurely. Hurricane Irma, if I showed you the spaghetti models at this point before Hurricane Irma, a week and a half out, it looked almost identical. And if you don't know what happened with Irma, it ended up going up across Florida. So I'm not saying this is going to be Irma 2.0. That's an example of recent memory where not to get married to the ensembles over a week out because they can change. But the good news for us now is that it appears much more likely than not that they should stay like this, but we'll keep an eye on it because this probably will become a major hurricane as we go into next week as it moves west. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. So quickly, here's the 7-day forecast for you tonight. Typical 7-day for this time of the year. Rain chances a bit higher tomorrow, a bit lower Wednesday, Thursday. Temperatures in the mid-90s through the weekend. But Garrett, the short stories, Erin will be the first major hurricane of the year by the weekend. Even if it stays off our coast, there'll be huge waves here next week up and down Florida's east coast. The surfers are going to be all over that for next week. But at least right now, the odds favorite would be for a out to sea scenario. However, there is still at least a 15-20% chance that it comes at Florida or the Carolinas. So we won't discount it, but it's nothing to be worried about for right now.
Yeah, just something to keep watching, and we know you and the Fox 35 Storm team will certainly do that. So Noah Bergeron, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, and we will be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. A sad update over the weekend, as we learned investigators believe they found the body of Giovanni Pelletier, the missing teenager who had been searched for several days by loved ones and investigators, as well as a nonprofit, kind of leading some of those efforts in several counties across the state. He had been along Florida's west coast and believed to be heading to see family in Brevard County when he went missing. There was an ongoing search for him in a number of areas, including in Brevard County. One of the investigators spoke with Fox 13's Jennifer Veglas about the initial contact with Giovanni's family Monday and their search efforts. That body ended up being found off I-75, and these searchers, including this volunteer with the nonprofit group that really helped with these search efforts, stressed about the importance of splitting up search parties to rule out search areas when you are conducting searches like this and trying to find missing people. Here is a part of that conversation.
Speaking with them on Monday morning, and then we actually deployed from our base location in Polk County and headed to Inglewood and began our search on Monday. based on the information from the family.
Okay, so tell me about what all of that entailed, joining that search.
So we do an investigation as much as possible with the information that's available, and we try to get as much timeline down as possible. And then I know there were some text messages and missed phone calls during the very beginning stages. We knew that he was picked up by some cousins that he had never met before. And so we immediately started gridding out and mapping out areas based on time that he left the home and location of text messages, how long it would take to drive there. And of course, we had to do an estimation because they left at 1:30 in the morning, and we were, during the daytime where there's traffic, so it was a little bit different. But we definitely tried to account for that to be able to get a more accurate timeline down. And then, of course, the backpack being found on highway Interstate 75.
Okay, and then so did you end up searching that area as well?
We did search some of the areas around I-70, but just based upon the locations that we knew from the text messages and the phone calls, that's where the majority of our search efforts were concentrated. And we have to kind of rule those areas out first. We may not find him right there, but we have to rule those areas out. And that way, I know the family and their friends were out searching as well, so we can let them know, what areas we've searched, and so that way we're not crossing paths.
So as far as you guys, in terms of like search techniques, did you like, was it mostly on foot? Was it drones? Was it dogs? How would you use?
We actually just are foot searchers. We do have electronic bicycles, or the battery powered bicycles. And we did use those in some of the areas to be able to clear roadsides, just so we knew for a chain, for positive that it was clear in those areas. And then the majority of ours is all on foot.
Okay. And now, I mean, for you, you put in so many hours, so many days, helping out with this search. Tell me about what your reaction was, hearing about the body that was found in Manatee County.
It's double-sided. There's obviously some relief for the family to have some sort of answers. That's our goal every single time, is to bring the missing person home. It doesn't matter who finds them, as long as they're found. And good, bad, or indifferent, we just have to, that's always the goal, is to bring them home. And then let the sheriff's office, they do the investigation portion. So we allow them to do their job, and we do the foot searches, and we love to coordinate and work with them. And, you know, that's our goal, is to be able to work with every agency in the event, of a missing persons case.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, just the Facebook post you put out earlier was just so heartfelt. Just about how his memory, will live on. And I mean, when you talk to family about the kind of person he was, what did they kind of tell you?
Very smart, intelligent, very loving, loved by his siblings and his parents, and I mean his entire family. He definitely has a loving family, and as you can see, his family did not give up, and they did not back down. They were grinding minute by minute. I don't believe they've slept an entire week since this all began. So, I mean, it's very heartbreaking to have an ending like this, but at the same time, that closure is what every family wants. We know that it'll be investigated. That's up to the medical examiner to determine the cause of death. And if there is any reason for, criminality involved, then the sheriff's office will take that over. That's, our job at this point, obviously, is done. Um, you know, so, I mean, we feel for the family, and our heart bleeds for them, because this is just not the outcome anybody wants. But as far as any investigations afterwards, that's that's not what we do.
Certainly a sad update there. Again, still a lot of questions surrounding this, but definitely hearts go out to this family coming to grips with that loss after about a week-long search, more than a week. From the time that he went missing, was believed to have disappeared before his body is believed to have been found. Again, the latest is the medical examiner still is awaiting confirmation. They were not able to do that confirmation right away because of the state of the body and the way it was found. But we are continuing to follow up on that because family members, investigators do believe that to be the body of that missing teen. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back after this. So keep it here on Fox Local and on YouTube.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. But continuing to follow up, trying to learn some new details about this downed plane in Volusia County. Going to check in with Fox 35's Chris Lindsay. And Chris, kind of bizarre to see that plane completely upside down in the water there. What do we know about what happened?
Well, so far we know that there was only one person. The pilot was on that plane. They are expected to be okay. But as far as other details, we're still working to learn more. This happened near Disappearing Island, which is in the Ponce Inlet area. There are multiple restaurants. There are people out there on the water. So thankfully, no one was hurt. The FAA is looking into it. FWC was also here in the area. This is a multi-agency investigation trying to figure out what happened. Again, there was only one person, and we're told that they are okay.
Yeah, that is certainly a relief. You mentioned the people kind of out in the area. Just for those who may not be kind of familiar with that Disappearing Island kind of area, can you just kind of paint a picture for us?
So right next to Disappearing Island is the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse and Museum. So this is a place that has restaurants. You have the museum there, you have the lighthouse. So it's a very tourist friendly area. There are restaurants that are right on the water. Their seats are actually hanging over the water. So the distance between Disappearing Island and those restaurants, maybe 100, 150 yards. So you're not far at all from where this plane went down. So it appears they were able to maneuver, and I imagine that trying to avoid these buildings and whatnot was part of the plan here. It appears they were able to successfully do that and come out of this uninjured, as well as make sure that everyone that is out here wasn't harmed as well. So relatively best case scenario for what appears to be an emergency landing.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Certainly a relief, and I know looking to kind of get some more answers about what may have happened. So Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, we appreciate you joining us.
Certainly, thank you.
We are also tracking an interesting story out of Orange County this afternoon, where there's some controversy surrounding a pretty well-known holiday house that they love to decorate, but the future of that is kind of in question now. And joining us live now via Zoom to talk about this is Fox 35's Stephanie Buffamonte. And Stephanie, this is a house that a lot of folks may have driven by and seen before, but kind of some questions about where things go from here.
That's exactly right, Garrett. So this is the Williams Holiday House. It's in Winter Gardens, so a lot of people know about it because they've been doing this for nearly 50 years. Have been there before. That's the video that you were looking at from Christmas time when they had all their decorations outside. They've been up and running since 1978. They have all kinds of decorations they put up for Halloween and Christmas. And they were getting ready to start putting up or kind of getting their ideas together for their Halloween decorations for this upcoming year. When last week they got 2 notices for code violations at their property. And then today in the mail, they also got further code violations from Orange County Code Enforcement. And of course, they were really upset about that. And the code violations are for tents that they have on property, which those tents house all the decorations that they put out. And you can see in the video, there are a lot of decorations that they put out. So they have these kind of white tents, think of like a party tent or something like that, where they house all these decorations. They also have an old car, 2 old cars on their property that they kind of use as like a spooky car and just other decoration as part of all of this. And then they also have an old fire truck. And so they got the county said that they have to get rid of the fire truck and the old cars. And then also they have to get rid of get a permit for the tents that they have on their property. So they are upset because they say that fire truck has been there for 12 years. It's never been an issue before. They say the car has been there since, I believe they said 1998, and they had never been told to move it before. And they said that they previously had their decorations in the tents, and all of a sudden that this is a problem. And that's why they are upset. So we reached out to the county and they said, these are the rules. They need to follow these zoning laws and in place. And we're not trying to target their decorations, but these are the rules and these are how they have to follow them. But of course, the couple that puts this on every year is pretty upset. It's a pretty popular thing for people to go to, and they're wondering if they're going to be able to put it on this year now.
So why now? If this has been going on for so long, you mentioned those things that they were cited for that clearly are not new issues. So why are they just now kind of facing repercussions for this, or why is this happening now?
I mean, that's the big question. But what they have told me, they as in the homeowners, is that a neighbor, according to them, they were told by the code enforcement officer, according to them, of course, that a neighbor complained, and that's what brought the code enforcement officer out. Why previously they hadn't been cited for any of this, that is a good question. And that is why they are kind of upset right now, because they say that they've been putting this show on or having these decorations displayed for so long now, and they're upset that this is kind of coming forth. And the community is definitely upset as well. Someone started a petition that has already had, I think, 2,400 signatures, and it's been up for, I think, almost 24 hours. So it kind of goes to show how popular these decorations are in the Winter Garden area. It's people not just in Winter Garden that come out to enjoy them. There are people that come out to see them from all over.
So where do things go from here then?
So according to the county, they have until the 21st to comply. And if not, they could be fined $1,000 per day. As for the couple, they're hoping to figure out some workaround.
Well, a lot of things still up in the air. We will see what happens. And Fox 35's Stephanie Buffamonte, we look forward to seeing your story coming up in just a little bit on Fox 35 News.
Thank you.
We are going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Give you a live look right now of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Here's a bit of a zoomed out shot. You see the Washington Monument there in our nation's capital, Washington District of Columbia, where the big news from earlier today is that President Trump not only deploying the National Guard to Washington, D.C., but he has put the D.C. Metropolitan Police under the control of the federal government, specifically the DOJ and Attorney General Pam Bondi. Here is some of what Trump had to say earlier about the reasons for this.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now.
That was President Trump earlier today. We brought some of that news conference to you live on Fox 35 News Plus at 11 o'clock. This morning. Now, this afternoon, in fact, just a little bit ago, the mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, she held a news conference of her own to respond to these steps announced by President Trump today. She also talked, we also heard from the D.C. police chief during this news conference, who talked about some of their conversations with federal officials as well.
and gave our police officers more tools, which is why we have seen a huge decrease in crime because of those efforts. We have been able to reverse that 2023 crime spike. This year, crime isn't just down from 2023, it's also down from 2019, before the pandemic, and we're at a 30-year violent crime low. We're not satisfied. We haven't taken our foot off the gas, and we continue to look for ways to make our city safer. We know, however, as most have heard from the president's press conference, that he has prerogatives in D.C. unlike anywhere else in the country, including his authority given by our home rule charter to require the mayor, to require me to supply services of the Metropolitan Police Department. And he also has control and the ability to deploy the National Guard. But let me be clear, as our home rule charter is also clear, and the president's executive order restates. Chief Pamela Smith is the chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, and its 3,100 members work under her direction. The Home Rule Charter requires the mayor to provide the services of MPD during special conditions of an emergency, and we will follow the law. Though there's a question about the subjectivity of that declaration. In fact, the chief has already provided a high-level liaison and point of contact with the federal government and made those initial contacts. The executive order is also clear that the president has delegated his authority to make requests of us to Attorney General Pam Bondi. I have reached out to Attorney General Bondi and hope to schedule a meeting soon. My message to residents is this. We know that access to our democracy is tenuous. That is why you have heard me and many Washingtonians before me advocate for full statehood for the District of Columbia. We are American citizens. Our families go to war. We pay taxes and we uphold the responsibilities of citizenship. And while this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past, that we're totally surprised. I can say to DC residents that we will continue to operate our government in a way that makes you proud. We will balance our budgets. We will deploy our services. Our kids are going to start school on August 25th. And we will work with the federal government to do the things that they should do for our city, including making sure that we have the judges that we need, including making sure that all federal parks are supported, not just with law enforcement, but with other clean and safe activities, and including making sure that our economy is supported by rational federal actions as it relates to the federal workforce, federal workers, and federal property in the District of Columbia.
You know, we have a responsibility to support the executive order, and one of the roles that I have is to ensure that we work very collaboratively with our federal partners. I know that most of us know in this room, and those of you that are watching on television, that the efforts of the federal law enforcement officers began in our city on Thursday night. I met with the director of the U.S. Marshal, who has been at that point overseeing the operational component of how the federal resources will be allocated and deployed around our city. With that conversation, it was very, very important for me to ensure that not only do we work collaboratively with our federal partners, but we offer up areas across our city where we can work with them in areas where we know that we want to reduce crime. And so that was the effort on yesterday. We spent roughly about an hour just kind of planning and talking through what that's going to look like. On the heels of the announcement from the president today regarding the executive order and my directive from the mayor is that we will begin more intense planning efforts after I leave this press conference. I've also met with one of the other liaisons that have been assigned to work with the U.S. Marshal, along with myself, regarding the efforts around the city for how we will allocate resources. What I will say is this: our relationship with our federal partners is not new. We do this on a daily basis. We are very, very, very much in tune to having federal law enforcement officers working with us on our Capital Area Regional Task Force. Our federal partners work with us, especially on some of our warrant executions. They work very, very closely with us with our Violent Crime Suppression Division, and it is my intent and my police department's intent to continue those efforts. What you will see is an enhanced presence. The second thing that's really important to me, and I'm speaking directly to our community, is that we have a relationship with our community that is very important to us, our community members. And so having our Metropolitan Police Department working alongside of our federal partners who have come into the city to really help us assess and deal with the crime, that some of the crime spikes that we have, we will work alongside them, but intentionally, we want to make sure that our community understands that we are there. We're going to be boots on the ground. If you see something, again, say something. We value those relationships, our community members, and I want to say thank you for all the work that you've done with the Metropolitan Police Department up to this point.
That was the D.C. police chief and mayor responding to Trump's announcement, talking about some of those next steps as well as things move forward in the District of Columbia. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We are watching and enjoying NFL preseason games already. Hard to believe football season is here. We were talking about college football, the AP Preseason poll that's out. NFL preseason games, first round of those is in the books. Tampa Bay dominated their first preseason game over the weekend against the Tennessee Titans. They won 29-7. We also saw a pretty good performance on the field from Kyle Trask, who's a former Florida Gator, who is now competing for the backup quarterback position with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He and head coach Todd Bowles spoke to reporters after the game about the season and that QB battle.
Coach, would you expect, I know you got to practice in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, but would you expect maybe Teddy Bridgewater to get into the game 2, or will you wait till game 3?
We'll see by the practice reps he gets and the reps he gets against the Steelers, how much he grasps, and if we like to get him in game 2. If not, we'd like to have him ready to play a lot of game 3.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Last question from Jenna Lee.
Hey, Coach, with all the injuries you have, is there anybody that you think might be able to come back this week?
Not until I see him out there practicing, Jenna.
I didn't know if there's anybody that was returning that you thought might return to practice this week. That's
Not until I really see him out there practicing, honestly.
I thought I did a good job just staying within the rhythm of the game, trying to stay as consistent as possible. Not trying to do anything special, just play within the scheme, try to limit the negative plays, don't turn the ball over, and just keep the ball moving forward.
Now, there was a play when you were standing in the pocket, waiting for Ryan Miller to clear. You did. You threw the ball on time. It took a wallop, too. But what do you like about that play, the payoff that comes from taking that hit?
Oh, those are the best moments as a quarterback, to be honest, when you stand in there and, get through your progression. And that's when you get those big hits, is when you're able to stand in there and the guys can open up for you down the field. Felt great. It's one of those where you throw it and you're like, well, either the crowd's going to cheer or they're not. So no. And then if the other sideline starts cheering, it's like, that's terrible. But it was one of those where the crowd started cheering and I was on the ground. I was like, all right, that probably went well. Because I saw it open up and I saw the window for it, so I just let it rip.
We didn't see Emeka long, but you hit him on a big play. What's it like to connect with him that early in the preseason?
It's great. Man, he's super mature. He's a quick learner, plays hard. He's just a great player to be around. And then, I knew that he was going to be fired up to make some plays. His first NFL action. So I'm glad that we were able to connect. And unfortunately, we didn't get to connect again on that down the field shot, but he's done a great job and he's going to continue to do so.
How do you think you needed to come out and play well tonight with the obvious signing of Teddy this week?
I'm just concerned about being the best that I can be. My whole career is just control what you can control. And I wake up every single day and I try to be the best that I can be. I try to be the best that I can be at practice, my routine, whatever it may be in the game, obviously. And that's always been my focus, and it will continue to be my focus going forward.
Looked like your decision making tonight was quick. Is that something you're most pleased with?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely pleased with that. I think that's just the confidence within the system. Being around Grizz. Another year. Obviously, he was with us last year. Similar scheme, so there's some turnover there. But yeah, no, I feel really confident with this playbook, and hopefully I was able to show that tonight.
For the most part, were you able to go through your first read and hit him, or did you have to work up your progressions?
Well, I hit my first read a couple times, and I also hit some progressions some other times. So I love when the first read's open, but sometimes it's not. And it's a mixed bag out there. I would say a lot of the throws I got to my second or third read, but yeah, always hoping for the first one to be open. It makes your job a lot easier.
What can you say about the play of Ryan Miller tonight?
Yeah, no, I thought he played great. He's had a great camp. He's always made plays. The past couple years. So I know he's someone you can count on in a game-like scenario, and I'm really happy for him. I thought he played great. He knows how to uncover and get open and find the right spots to be in. He just got a great feel for the game, and I'm happy that he was able to get some good receptions and some good targets tonight.
Kyle, what did you think of the play of the running backs after Rashad went out?
I thought it was great. I was super impressed with us, with our just ability to run the ball. They knew we were going to run the ball, but still they struggled to stop it. So that's what you want to see is from your O linemen and your tight ends blocking down there in the trenches. So it was great to see all the running backs getting a good amount of carries and keeping those chains moving forward.
What was their explanation for bringing in Teddy in the first place? Did they tell you why they were doing that? I know you can only control what you can control, but were you puzzled by that move?
I never got a direct answer to answer your question, but they've told me, or I've heard through the grapevine, he brings a lot of experience, and I've met him and been around him for about, I guess, a week now, and he's great, and he's a great person to be in the room. He has great ideas, and it's always a good thing when you can bring in experience into a quarterback room, and it really can bring in some extra knowledge, and it's never a bad thing.
I know you try to execute everything in practice, but is there something about games that some guys are just, they're gamers, man. When it's time to play football and the lights come on, you even play a little better?
I sometimes, yeah. The main thing that
Interesting to hear Kyle Trask, former Florida Gator, talk about what he's going through right now in preseason of the NFL with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus on this Monday afternoon. We appreciate you joining us. I want to go ahead and get you sent out to Studio A for the start of Fox 35 News at 5. You see John and Luann getting ready for that newscast, which begins in about 40 seconds. Following up, we will have an update from Chris live on the scene of that plane crash in Volusia County. You saw some of the live images as the cleanup continues from that. Also going to check in with Randy Hildreth, who is live in Orlando. Doge teams are on the ground in the city of Orlando beginning their audits of the city's spending.